Hello, everybody. My name is Mr. Cantor, and this is Modeling with Mr. Cantor. Now, today we're going to be looking at Explore Part B. And in order for us to understand how to do these questions, we have to look at your introduction/launch, which is right here. Now, your teacher has most likely already gone over with you exactly how to solve this situation and also helped you fill in the tables, the frequency table for the men's team and the frequency table for the women's team. So with that said, please pause the video and go back into your notebook and take a look. What did you get for the frequency for the men's team and for the frequency for the women's team, and complete this table. Please look over your table, pause the video, and we're going to get back together in a second. All right, welcome back. Hopefully these are the same answers that you got when you looked over your table, when you did this with your teacher in class. For the men's team, when they said to you how many prior competitions and that number was 0, if that number was 0 and you got that appeared 10 times, you are correct. If you said the number of prior competitions of 1 happened only 1 time amongst this frequency of the men's team, you are correct. For the number 2, as you notice on the men's team, the number 2 does not appear at all. Therefore, it's 0 frequency. The number 3 appears only 1 time. So you should have a 1 frequency. And the number 4 does not appear at all. Therefore, we have a 0 frequency. And if you follow the same method, you should have gotten the same exact responses as we did for the women's team. We noticed that 0 popped up exactly 1, 2, 3 times. We noticed that 1 popped up exactly 1, 2, 3, 4 times. 2 popped up 1, 2 times. And 3 popped up 1, 2, 3 times. And in addition, 4 popped up none at all. So this is how you should have completed your men's team and women's team table within your class period with your teacher. Now we're going to need this information in order to actually do Explore Part B. So let's take a look at Explore Part B. Now, before we jump into all of Explore Part B, let's take it one step at a time. And the first step of Explore Part B requires us to make a dot plot for each table, specifically the men's table and the women's table. So why don't you please pause this video and fill in the dot plot for the men's basketball team number of prior competitions. All right, welcome back. If this is what you got for 0, then you are correct. There are 10 athletes who said that they had no prior competition. So we have 10 dots on our dot plot. For the 1, we have 1 athlete who said they had 1 previous competition. For the 2, we have none. For the 3, we have 1. And for the 4, we have none. Okay, so with that said, please pause the video and complete the women's dot plot for their number of prior competitions. All right, welcome back. Hopefully you were able to get 3 for 0 because our frequency of the women athletes who had no previous competitions, there were 3 of them. Okay, let's move on. Please pause the video and complete the women's dot plot for previous competitions using the table that we have to the right. All right, welcome back. If you have 3 dots for 0, 4 dots for 1, 2 dots for 2, and 3 dots for 3, followed by 0 dots for 4, you are correct. Now, at this point in time, we can see that the dot plots for the men's team match the frequency table we have to the right. In addition, the dot plot we have for the women's basketball team matches the women's table to the right. And we can see this because for the frequency of 0 prior competitions, we had a frequency of 3, and that translated to 3 dots. Then it said for 1 prior competition, 4 athletes said, yes, we have had 1 prior competition. So we see that we have used 4 dots. 2 athletes told us they had a frequency of 2, which means they have 2 prior competitions. And so that's why we have 2 dots here. And 3 athletes have told us they had 3 prior competitions. And so that's why we have 3 dots here. Out of all of our athletes, none of them have ever had 4 prior competitions. So this is how your men's dot plot and women's dot plot should look for the number of prior competitions. Excellent work. All right, so now that we have our dot plots completed, we can actually begin to look at the actual questions they want us to answer in response to this data. Please pause this video, read the first question to yourself, and then we will read it together. All right, welcome back. The question reads, study your dot plots. What do they tell you about the competition participation of the players on the men's basketball team? All right, please pause the video and let me know. What do you think the answer is here? All right, welcome back. If you said they did not have many players with prior competition experience, you are correct. We could see that on the men's basketball team, the majority of the players told us that they had zero number of prior competitions. Okay, so let's move ahead. For part B, please pause the video and read part B to yourself. What do they want us to do for part B? All right, welcome back. Now that you've read part B, let's read it together. Part B says the players on the women's basketball team. So what does the dot plot tell us about the players on the women's basketball team? Please pause the video and let me know. All right, welcome back. If you said that they had players with prior competition experience, you are correct. Now, you can see here that they have players who had 1 competition, 2 competitions, even 3 competitions in the past. So they have already some experience. So they're coming to their team with some experience on how to handle the pressure and competitions and things like that. So that's really good. Now, the 2 answers that you see here, they're not the only ones. There's a lot of creative answers that you can also come up with. All right, let's look at the last question here. Please pause the video and read it to yourself, and then we will read it together. All right, welcome back. The last question reads, explain why a dot plot is an appropriate representation for prior's data. All right, please pause the video and let me know. What do you think about that? All right, welcome back. If you said a dot plot is an appropriate representation of her data because she collected numerical data, you're right. She had to go to all these athletes, the men and the women, and ask them for a numerical response. She had to ask them, how many prior competitions have you been in? And they would say something like 0, 1, 2, 3. None of them said 4. So because all their answers would have been answers with a number, that means she was collecting numerical data. And that's what dot plots are really good at demonstrating, especially if you're demonstrating repetition amongst that data. All right. So with that said, let's actually move on to the next question. And the next question requires us to take all of our dot plots and combine them. So why don't you pause the video? I want you to read this question, combine the 2 dot plots together, and then we'll do it together. All right, welcome back. Let's read the question and then we'll talk about the dot plot. The question reads, combine the data for the players on the men's and women's teams and represent it as a single dot plot. What can you say about repeat participation of basketball players? So now they're talking about the women and the men together. Based on both teams, what is their total prior competition experience? Let's see what happens. If you have created your dot plot correctly, it should look something like this. And we can see here a lot of information. So why don't you pause the video and let me know, what information do you see here? All right, welcome back. If you said that we have some basketball players that have some experience in other competitions, but the majority of them have 0 prior experience, that is true. Now, again, this is only one observation. There are a lot of observations here. For example, you can say the number of athletes who have 2 prior competition experience is less than the number of athletes who have 1, 3, even 0 prior competitions. All right. So there's a lot of different answers you can come up with here, as long as it matches to the information presented to you on the dot plot. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all that I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful to you. My name is Mr. Cantor, and I will see you in the next one. Take care for now.